Good morning, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar on Batting for Average, How to Achieve Predictable Returns Through Consistent Programs. I'm Dee Bowers, and I'll be your moderator. Go ahead and make sure I get the slide going straight here. So before we jump in, I'm going to briefly go over how to use the webinar pane. On the right side of your monitor, you should see the webinar pane and an orange arrow. So clicking this arrow will allow you to toggle the tray between the open and closed position. You should also see a small chat window, and feel free to type in questions throughout the presentation. We'll address those at the end of the webinar during the Q&A session as time allows. Okay, and then on to audio settings. Under Go to Webinar pane, you should see an area for audio settings. If you're calling in on your telephone, please make sure you choose the Use Telephone option. Alternatively, if you're using your computer, please select the Use Mic and Speakers option. And then also, webinar participants will receive an email within 48 hours with a link to the recorded webinar and slide deck. Now that we've gone over the meeting software, I'd like to introduce you to our presenters. First, we have Don Miller. Don was an operating partner for about a dozen years and is managing director of the private equity practice here at Armanino. We also have Brian Rogers. Brian is a senior manager of our CFO advisory service here at Armanino and is also on the adaptive planning execution team. So thank you both for joining us. And with that, I'm ready to get started and turn it over to Don.
Thank you, Dee, and thank you everyone for taking the time to be with us this morning. And we're going to try to make it very constructive and very pragmatic. So there's not a lot of slides, and we're going to get through those and then right to the actual tools that we're going to be demonstrating. But before we do that, let me just step through. And by the way, we also, in addition to Brian and I, we also have adaptive planning is one of the tools that you're going to see this morning. It's a best of breed planning and budgeting tool, and we've got Greg Volpe from Adaptive Planning. Greg is a principal solution specialist at Adaptive Planning. He's been in this business for 18 years, so he's another tremendous resource. And candidly, Adaptive Planning is a fantastic company to be partners with. So we're delighted to have Greg with us as well. And we are truly virtual. I'm here in the Bay Area. Brian is in Chicago at our office. And Greg, I think you're in Boston, if I'm not mistaken. So that's who you have on this end. We will have questions at the end, a question period at the end. We are anxious for those questions, but just for efficiency of the next hour, it'd be a little bit disruptive to try to tackle the questions as we go. So we'll get through the canned portion, and then at the back end we'd be very interested in hearing feedback and questions, and we'll address those at the end. So on the slides, just a